Hello YouTube fans, here again. And as you know, I'm doing an 80s marathon, so I figure why not this one. From the classic TV series, and as well as they're making a lot of sequels, that being Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Time. Say it again, Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Time. Because it's 82, and I know this is more sci-fi, I figure what the hell. Now, as there's this cess of Star Trek, the motion picture, came out back in the late 70s, being 1979. It already raked it in the cinema, but it wasn't as successful as people thought it was going to be. People felt it was a bit slow, a bit sluggish, a bit this. Some people said it wasn't as faithful as the classic 60s TV show, and so on. I've got a disagree because I actually love Star Trek the motion picture. Still love it today. And I think it is faithful to the classic 60s, so it's good to see the old tasks come back and team up. You know what I mean? Even before they did the motion picture, they had the animated series where all the actors did the voices to the animated cartoon series. For people that may or may not know, there was an animated series back in the early 70s. But they decided anyway to make a sequel, that being Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Time, that come out in 1982. Bringing all the old actors again, like William Shatner, James Seymour as Dr. Spock, and so on, even Strutty. And it's good to see him come back. It's good. And I've got to admit, this has to be the most finest one in the eternity. The finest one. It originally was a PT, then it went on into the golden days of video, back in the early days when we got it on VHS. It was altered to a 15. And they did two edited versions of Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Time. I originally saw the censored down version, and I admit it was shit. It was shit. After Fireworks was trimmed down, it wasn't as juicy, it wasn't as fine, and it took away the impact of the villain Charm, because in this, I know that Charm was in the first series of the 60s, from, I say 1966, and he was a villain in, I think it was the first series of Star Trek, the first series of it, and people thought he was bad, he was evil, he was a woman conniver, he was this and that. He's more evil in this, and it's good to know they bring back the original actor. Wasn't a different actor. They bought the original actor from the 60s series to play Time. I mean, the David Bowie fucking Labyrinth wig was pretty funny, they giving him before Labyrinth. And they did him a fake mustardy chest. But I don't like that. So it starts off, they altered the suits, which I do admit is a lot more of an improvement than how it looked in the 79 one, the motion picture. And you do get a very long Kirstie Alley make a first appearance. That's, as we all know, paid in Chase. And I do believe that when they did Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, they didn't have it in it because at the time there was a lot of other reasons. I felt myself the same days with doing The Runaway with Tom Selleck, good film. But yeah, Sigourney Weaver makes her first appearance, Kirstie Alley. Sigourney Weaver makes her first appearance in Star Trek The Wrath of Time as a Falcon. And I always remember the opening being very, very funny because they're testing these people out to see who's the strongest who could be a captain, a bit like me, being a sales assistant manager. So the testing ability, what would happen in case of an emergency, and how would you handle an emergency until she messes up. And you think all the characters have got killed. You think, bloody hell, this is a sore opening. But you find out that's not the case. It's a testing. And I love the way Captain Kirk says, you never ever pay for a medical or something like that. You never ever give yourself up to Tincons. They don't take prisoners. In other words, they kill you. It was all fine funny because when they did the search for Spock, they did have them as prisoners. But, you know, going all over the place. But it's a dud. It's good to see him all again. You got the idea Captain Kirk's a little bit older. I know it sucks. We all get old. It's his birthday. A bit like me, but it's my birthday. I pull my face. And so on. But as like I say, this is the finest one ever because you've got some of the characters. You've got one guy you remember from the 60s show. and they go into this desert planet to look for a planet called Delta 6, and they find it on the one part of the Delta, and that's when they meet the villain Tom. And this is a bit, I've got to admit, on the uncut one, it's a lot more graphic. I think in the cut one, you don't see it. The guy has these big funny leeches, and he puts them across the ear. I don't know that you can see it's a fake ear, but I choose that over shitty CDR any day of the week. So you see these baby leeches go right up into the ear, and it's like, oh, it really looks painful, and it is graphic. So I think at some of that, some of the bits where Tom and these evil men kill people, it's definitely a violent film. For a Star Trek film, I mean, this has to be the most violent one. I can definitely see why it was a 15 rating when it come out. I felt some of them, though, they were there. The villains that worked for Tom, they were there, because they never really did them that much character. There was no character building. You had one girl, like pretty to look at, but they never did any lines. She smirked a little bit here and there when Tom did something evil, but they never gave the other characters, the longer ones, anything to do really, or anything. He had one guy in it. If you think you've seen him before, he played in the TV show V. The one who died, Anna, had a little bit of a love riff. He was in V. So it's kind of interesting to see him play sort of like an alien villain in this. But he was the only one really had a lot of lines with Tom. The others, they were there. They were there. You know what I mean? I could either choose them or pick them or whatever. But I do like the bit where he's trapped on the planet. He meets his son. If you've seen him before, he's been in a lot of films. Sadly, no longer with us. Played in Fight Night Part 2, an unestimated sequel, which never see the day of light on this country in DVD, what pees me off. But if you've ever seen Fight Night Part 2, the dad, Charlie Brewster's mate, gets turned into a vampire. Not in the original one, the second one. He's one of plays Captain T's son. Sad to say he passed away of AIDS a couple of years ago now, which is pretty sad. He's also appears in the third one, which is hard to watch knowing he's no longer with us. But he's in this. It's not a good performance. And I love the bit where Captain Turk thinks he's trapped on a planet and does he outsmarts Tom. And I love the bit where he goes, Tom! Tom! You can also hear it in the trailer, and he really goes brilliant. William Shatner in this is brilliant. But it does, he gets out of it because he outsmarts Tom. He outsmarts him. And but they've got this bomb, they've got this new planet called the Delta planet, and it's almost like an animated picture. There's always I think they do it in three of them actually. They do it in The Search for Spock, and they also do it in The Forest Zone, being the fourth Star Trek film. But I love it because it's very first computer effects, it's very early. But I just love the bit where it goes like that, and you've got fire coming to toss and all this. It's hard to explain, but it really does look beautiful the way it's done. And though Tom thinks he's got the better, they're going to have this dog fight on two spaceships. Tom puts this bomb which could kill people. I told then Dr. Spock, played by James Seymour, does the Falcon move on Dr. Mitoy, Dr. Bonesaw. He self-sacrifices himself. Tom gets killed. And it's like sad in one way. I think it's sad also because they had a fight scene in the TV series with Captain Turk at a fort Tom, right? The bit is, and I've got to laugh, is I felt they should have done that. Should have had an epic fight with Captain Turk and Tom. Because they did it in the third one where he fights the Tingon villain, and I felt they should have really done that in this one because he just gets killed by a shitty dog fight on a spaceship. Tom dies, the human ship gets blowing up. He beams him up an evil bomb, but then Spock, like I say, self-sacrifices himself. He's trapped in this thing, and he dies from contamination, and he dies. I do know they're bringing back the Search for Spock, and you can kind of see that they sort of knew they was going to make a third one a couple of years later. But it's still a hard one to watch knowing James Seymour is no longer with us. May he rest in peace. So it's like sad, especially when you think that Dr. Spock is going to die, the Falcon we all love. And it turns out not to be the case because they're bringing back 2 years later in the Search for Spock. But it's still a good one. It's good for what it is. I do like the music, which I wouldn't be surprised. You remember the movie called Troll. If you remember a movie called Troll, that Fencer epic film, it's a might put when I get into 80 of the action marathons. That music does sound similar to the music they use in this. I would not be surprised if it's the same people that use the same music in Troll. Well, one thereafter, I should say. But it's a good one. It is a good one. The only bit that makes me laugh is when Time's got eye over character and he's bringing memory lane to him, what he did in the 60s. So the funny thing is, the guy in it didn't come into the second series of Star Trek. So he's never even in the first series when he was going on about, you left us all to die. He did everything for you. And then he said, and he has to go to him and he puts like leaks on his ear. He was never in the flipping series. He come into the second series of Star Trek. So I find that was like amusing. But it's still a dud. It's a dud. It's definitely fine, but it's definitely a dud at Fencer. It's definitely got a lot of action in it. It's got a lot of actors you may know. And sadly, some are no longer with us. And it's good to see the task come back in Star Trek 2. The Wrath of Time. But into them people, I'll do some more movies, more reviews on the way. Into them. Be smart. Be safe, and I'll see you later.